Hello students, my name is Ashish Prabhugaonkar. I'm from Dempe College of Arts and Science. So in this module, we will look into some more concepts in terminologies of the flower in addition to the calyx and corolla and androecium and gynoecium what we have seen in previous module. So we'll be able to learn terminology for morphology of flower parts in addition to the previous modules, differentiate between different morphology of flower parts, and list various terminologies associated with the morphological structures of the flower. So one concept that is numerical plane of the flower. So most flowers in can be classified or observed to be constructed upon specific numerical plane. The trimerous flowers are usually have numerical plane of 3, whereas 3 sepals, 3 petals, or it may be the petals and sepals may be in multiples of 3. This can be found in monocotyledons. The androecium or gynoecium number will be in the multiples of 3. Tetramerous and pentamerous flower, this can be found in dicotyledons, where the flowers are constructed on numerical plane of 4 or 5. That means the petals, androecium, calyx, all will be in multiples of 4 or 5, and the number of calyx and here corolla lobes you can see 4, here you can see 5. So all the floral numerical plane of the flower will be in the 4 or in multiples of 4. Another concept is flower is a modified shoot or branch of the plant. Here you can see a branch of the plant with nodes and internodes. So, what we call floral whorls, the calyx, corolla, and rhizome, gynoecium, we call them as floral whorls. This is, uh, they are attached at the thalamus. Okay, so thalamus is nothing but the reduced nodes and internodes, and it forms the axis of the flower. So this axis or the thalamus bears the different floral whorls, which are modification of leaves. Okay, the leaves are modified or manifested into sepals, petals, stamens, and carpels. One of the example for this is if you take the nymphia flower, you can see sepals slowly transforming into the petals, and the same petals can be slowly seen transforming into the sepals, and petals are the accessory whorl, and the essential whorl, that is androecium. Same petals can be transforming into the androecium. So this transformation of floral leaves into different whorls of the flower can be seen. Sometimes this axis of the flower, that is which is shortened into thalamus, can be in the long form. So the calyx and corolla are inserted at one place, and the androecium and gynoecium can be attached at different uh, different in length of the thalamus. So length of the thalamus may vary, and this kind of structure where the anthers are attached on the gynoecium is called as gynandrous condition, where stamens are adhering to the carpels instead of thalamus. Gynostragium is the fusion between the stamens and the stigma, and it is known to be found in family Asclepidaceae. The gynandrophore is the elongated thalamus in between the androecium and gynoecium. The elongated thalamus, which is formed by fusion of androecium and gynoecium, is called gynandrophore. Gynostragium is the condition which can be found in Orchidaceae, where stamens are completely absent, and the adnation of the filament, and the stigma forms the uh, a column, and then it is called as gynostagium. Here stamen, in this stamen the pollens are having a peculiar structure called pollinium. Pollinium is a two-lobed structure having mass of uh, here the having the pollen grain in the mass, in the single mass inside the sac-like structure. This can be found in family Orchidaceae. The derivation of carpels by floral leaves can be seen. One of the example is peas, where is the monocarpellary ovary, and then you can clearly see the leaves are fused together, and the placenta forms the ovules, which are can be seen in the seed. So monocarpellary legume pods can be split along the two sutures. One of the sutures represent the midrib of the leaf, and one of the suture represents the fusion of the leaf tips or leaf margin. Another concept is absence of floral whorls. So when both androecium and gynoeciums are present in a flower, then the flower is called bisexual or hermaphrodite flower. When either androecium and or gynoecium is present, or either one of the androecium or gynoecium whorl is absent, then the flower is called unisexual flower. In neuter flower, we have both androecium and gynoecium absent. That means both essential whorls are absent. Then the flower is called neuter flower. The flower is called nude flower when both calyx and corolla are absent. Only androecium and gynoecium are present. So based on the presence and absence of the floral whorls, the unisexual flower can be called as staminate when it is only having androecium, and pistillate when it only having the gynoecium or female flower. The plant is called monoecious when the male and female flowers develop on the same plant. This can be seen in Cucurbitaceae. The male flowers and female flowers are separate, but they are born on same plant. The condition is called as dioecious when the staminate and pistillate flowers are formed on different plants. The male plants are different from the female plants, and the staminate and female pistillate flowers are born on different plants. Another concept in the understanding of the flower is spiral or cyclic arrangement of flower parts. Okay, in some flowers, especially this can be observed in Michaelia, Magnolia, or buttercup flower, which are primitive flowers. Here, the floral parts or various flower parts are inserted on the floral axis or the thalamus in spiral manner. Okay, and this resembles the pine cone. So this is termed as more primitive structure, and most of the advanced families or most of the families in flowering plants today have floral whorls inserted on the thalamus in a cyclic arrangement. So the cyclic arrangement of the floral whorls on the thalamus is considered as a advanced character. So this is a flower in a Magnoliaceae. You can see the extended thalamus and the numerous carpels, which are they are spirally arranged on the elongated axis. So this is as in Magnoliaceae, it is considered as a primitive characters. So another important character of the flower to be understood is number of carpels in transverse section of the flower. So how many carpels are fused to form a single ovary? Okay, so this number of locules within the ovary may or may not indicate number of carpels. This requires some kind of understanding. We cannot say the number of locules. If the ovary is unilocular, then we cannot jump onto and say that it's only one carpel. Okay, compound pistil, a pistil produced by fusion of two or more carpels, it forms compound pistil. An ovary having more than one complete cell or locule is always uh, compound. So if a ovary has more than one locule, it is high chances that it is a compound ovary. Or many times one-celled ovaries are also compound. Many times we cannot say that if the ovary is one-celled, if there are more than one placenta, then it can be a compound. If a pistil having one celled ovary but more than one placenta, more than one style or stigma, or any combination of this, duplication of number of placenta, style, stigma, the ovary may be presumed as the compound ovary. Another concept in understanding the flower is we have seen calyx, corolla, and androecium and gynoecium. The corolla is generally formed, as we know, as a flag apparatus to attract the insect. So, if the flower is pollinated by wind or hydrophily, where pollinated by water, uh, then the against the entomophily, which is flower pollinated by the insect. So if the flower is pollinated by wind or water, the morphology of flower can differ from the normal structure. So such flower lack scent production. Such flowers lack the showy part, that is showy corolla. They have reduced nectar production, but here they have the flowers are less showy, but they produce enormous number of pollen grains. The anthers of this flower sometimes the female parts, as well as the stigma, has large surface area to capture the pollens. These are the references. Thank you.